Montrose is a town of history, where gable enders are gossips and the geese gabble in their thousands. Where imposing merchant houses hide down narrow closes, and where the Scottish arts renaissance was born. Montrose was a place where whalers sailed the seas on boats built in their hometown, and merchants amassed fortunes in worldwide trade. For centuries, the natural harbour has been the focal point of Montrose. Today, the port services the North Sea oil industry. The well-heeled Montrosians built elegant houses, giving the town a quiet dignity. Whilst the running of the borough was conducted from the imposing townhouse, or Bahouse as it is known locally. The Auld Kirk steeple commands a view over the town. It earned pride of place by being almost in the centre of the borough and on the highest point of the knoll upon which the town was built. The town's history begins with these incredible stone images, dating back to the turn of the 9th century, after the union of Pictland with Scotland. Montrose has witnessed many changes from its early beginnings in 850 AD, when a religious settlement was established on Rossie Island. It then operated as the port for Angus, growing rapidly through the endurance of fishermen, the courage of the whalers, and the shrewd dealing of merchants. Soon it was the birthplace and home to men and women of influence. Over the centuries, Montrose has spawned more than its fair share of leading lights. Writer Violet Jacob, the scientist Robert Brown and politician Joseph Hume all hail from Montrose. Their noble and artisan faces have been sculptured for posterity. James Graham, the Marquess of Montrose, was a soldier and politician. His was a short life, but one packed with acts of courage and integrity. A man of true character and conviction. He led the Scottish rebellion against the religious policies of King Charles I in 1637, but he was later to join the royalist forces. When eventually captured by the Covenanters, he was paraded through Edinburgh before his execution at the Market Cross. His place in Scottish history was recognised with a magnificent tomb sculpture in St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. James Graham stands alongside William Wallace and Robert the Bruce in Scottish history. Montrose is situated on the north bank of the River South Esk, and for 3 centuries they grappled with the problem of bridging the river. The harsh conditions of weather and fast-flowing tide took their toll on the landmark concrete bridge after only 70 years, and replacement became essential. A temporary bridge was erected alongside, while the old one was removed and the new one built, with the whole series of complex operations successfully completed, allowing the new bridge to be opened in 2005. In this same period, the Montrose Heritage Trust had a fundraising campaign to erect a statue of Bamsa. St Bernard dog attached to the Norwegian Navy during the Second World War. He was an official member of the crew of the minesweeper Torod and famous for his many exploits and adventures. He died in Montrose in 1944. With the completion of the bridge, the adjacent site alongside the river became the perfect location for this beautiful statue, unveiled by Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, in October 2006. The magnificent Norwegian sailing ship Statsråd Lemkjul came to Montrose in 2005 and 6 as part of their programme of cruises around the North Sea. She is a training ship for young people, but also takes paying members of the public as crew. On both occasions, the captain allowed the locals on board and gave great support to the Bamsa campaign. In the 1870s, the railway bridge was built, linking Montrose to the rest of the UK rail network. Every town has its library, and Montrose boasts one of the best. It is a splendid example of the thousands of libraries built with money bequeathed by one of Scotland's most famous sons, Andrew Carnegie. Today it keeps up to date with the digital age, but a good read can still be found on its shelves. This stunning dome crowns the Academy, the town's comprehensive school, with its long and distinguished history, dating back to the Middle Ages. The Montrose Museum has plenty of artefacts and documents covering the town's history, but it also displays some of the finest Scottish sculptures and paintings. You'll find them in and around the town and off the high street. Unique closes with high walls often leading to imposing yet friendly merchants' mansions. Most of the gable ends have now gone, but many of the closes remain. Trades Close, which runs from the High Street to Market Street, has been fully refurbished and leads to the William Lamb Studio. Through many of the private closes, you will find impressive mansions of the 16th and 17th century merchants. Monuments to the past. The Retreat, Holly House, Coots House, Ivy House and Straighton House. All beautiful homes, a stone's throw from the busy town streets, yet so quiet in the walled-off privacy of their gardens with dark green foliage and towering trees. The Kirk Walk heralds in spring, with beautiful displays of crocuses and snowdrops. One of the peaceful areas off the High Street and leading down to the mid-link parks. Skirdy Lighthouse sits on a promontory at the south side of the River South Esk. It's there because in 1867 the seafaring community of Ferry Den demanded protection for the fishermen and merchant ships after numerous shipwrecks and a great loss of life. Three years later, the tower was lit for the first time, amidst cheers from the crowd gathered on the links and the sands. Skirdy was converted to automatic operation in 1987. The lifeboat was established to save fishermen and seamen on merchant sailing ships, often grounded on rocks within proximity of the harbour. The first Montrose lifeboat was one of 31 boats built by Henry Greathead between 1800 and 1803. 5 of these boats were placed around the coast of Scotland. A D-class lifeboat was sent to the station in February 1994. William Lamb, the sculptor and painter, was born and bred in Montrose. He created busts of the most prominent of the artistic movement in Montrose: his friends Violet Jacob, the novelist and poet, the painter Edward Baird, Hugh McDermid, and the architect George Fairweather. Step inside Lamb's studio in Trades Close. Some of his work is there, in bronze, wood and stone, together with a vast collection of etchings and paintings. Lamb was commissioned to create sculptures of Princesses Elizabeth and Margaret when children, and the Duchess of York, who became Queen and then Queen Mother. In the Great War, Lamb enlisted with the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders and fought in Belgium and France. Wounded twice, he was invalided out of the army with extensive damage to his right hand. But he was still able to attend Edinburgh College of Art, where he taught himself to draw, paint and sculpt with his left hand. In 1924, after spending time in France, Lamb returned to his native Montrose to set up his first studio. He became involved with a group of young artists and literati who believed in the idea of a Scottish Renaissance in life and the arts. Dr. James Morrison maintains the Montrose-based continuation of the best in Scottish art, with his distinctive landscapes which beautifully capture the atmosphere of the Angus countryside, and can be found both in private and public collections worldwide. Montrose from Ferryden and the portrait of George Fairweather are works by the artist Edward Baird, the son of a local sea captain. Other paintings exist in homes in the town, and the National Gallery also own works. Visitors to the town will find a good selection of hotels and guest houses from which to enjoy the delights of the area. Auctioneering has a major impact on Montrose. Ian Taylor Auctioneers are one of Scotland's biggest, with worldwide customer contacts. Sometimes they have 4 auctions going at the same time: furniture, paintings, jewellery and something else, all in different sale rooms. Salmon bag and net fishing is a Montrose speciality. They've been catching salmon in the huge nets when the tide comes in for 5 centuries. The fish are smoked and then sold on to merchants for export to the continent. In June, July and August, you can still see the fishermen working with rock nets or jumpers, or rowing out in flat-bottomed cobbles to collect the migrating salmon from the bag nets. From a modest start in 1952, working from redundant buildings of a Montrose concrete manufacturer, Glaxo gradually expanded, and with mergers, GlaxoSmithKline became world number 2 in pharmaceuticals. The steel fabrication company Harry Maiden goes back 5 generations and was founded in the 1920s as a blacksmith's by Joseph Maiden. RGIT Montrose Limited, where they train men and women to fight oil fires, is a world-famous training centre for a very tough job. RGIT are the only training provider able to deliver a wide range of courses such as survival, marine fire and health and safety training from one site in the United Kingdom. Once, these quays at the port of Montrose were stacked with barrels of fish, wine and brandy, and bales of flax and cotton. Today the port is a centre for international trade in oil-related equipment. It has grasped the opportunities presented by the development of the North Sea oil and gas fields. Montrose has wonderful facilities for all age groups, from the seaside play area for children to the clean rolling sands backed by undulating dunes. There is so much space, and the nearby St Cyrus Beach is a joy at any time of year. Montrose Medal Golf Course is the 5th oldest golf course in the world where they have been hitting it straight down the middle since 1562. A true links course and a real test of golf, with undulating fairways and fast greens. The British Boys Championship and Internationals were hosted here in 1991, and the British Girls Championship and Internationals in 97. The Montrose Meadow Golf Course is now a final qualifying course for the Open. The Broomfield Golf Course gives you a change of scenery, although you'll still be by the sea. Some may say it's shorter and easier, but it's still surely a great test of golfing skills. The Sports Centre caters for a variety of indoor activities. Montrosian's Simon Needham is European champion archer. The Gable Endies Montrose Football Club. A proud, friendly club, who along with their close rivals Arbroath, Brechin and Forfar, form an amazing nucleus of Scottish League football in Angus. There is always the possibility of 6 derby games in a season. The Gable Endies were founded in 1879. Their biggest victory was a 12-0 over Vale of Leven in the Scottish Cup second round on January 4th, 1975. Their biggest defeat? 13-0 by Aberdeen in 1951. And their finest hour? Winning the Second Division Championship in 1985. Sailing has been a keen activity on the sheltered waters of the basin for many years during the summer months. The Old Kirk in the High Street plays host each year to the Old Church Choir for a programme of festive music. High above their heads is the hearse, a unique chandelier in the form of an upturned harrow. It was made in the 17th century and is much admired by both the congregation and visitors. Montrose Highland Games starts with a procession from the High Street to the links. All the traditional sports take place: the Highland dancers, the tug of war, caber toss, cycling and track events, with competition of the highest level. The bridge spans the tidal flow of seawater that fills and drains the huge expanse of the Montrose Basin twice a day. And that's why thousands of birds frequent the locality. The pink-footed geese, waders and eider ducks, along with mute swans and curlews, can eat to their heart's content. The huge mudflats are saturated in shelled crustaceans, and thousands of birds come to feed on the rich harvest living in the estuarine mud. The newly refurbished Wildlife Centre was reopened in June 2004 and has facilities for all, including hides and telescopes. Extensive visual displays tell the life of the birds and animals, or you can at arranged times take a journey to the centre of the mudflat. Thousands of geese roost on the mudflats, and there are often dramatic flights in the early morning and evening. Montrose Air Station is a museum of the sky, housed in the wooden 1940s squadron buildings with a First World War hangar nearby. Round the year, you can view the impressive collection, bringing back memories of both world wars. The House of Dun, 3 miles west of Montrose, is a magnificent Georgian house overlooking the Montrose Basin. It was designed and built by William Adam in 1730 for David Erskine, Lord Dun. The superb contemporary plasterwork is by Joseph Enzer, and the house is filled with the family collection of portraits, furniture and porcelain. In the basement there is a miniature theatre exhibition with its puppet actors. The walled garden to the east of the house has been restored to a late Victorian period and includes plants typical of the 1880s. Dun and Auld, 2 miles south of Montrose, was built in the Gothic Revival style to the designs of architect James Gillespie Graham for Peter Arkley in 1824. The house and gardens are open in July, and the splendid walled garden is a treat not to be missed. The commercial days of steam may be long gone, but thanks to the local enthusiasts of the Caledonian Railway Society, we can still enjoy the sight, the sound and smell of these magnificent machines. Running between the Bridge of Dun and the lovely Victorian station at Brechin, it's a trip that can be enjoyed by people of all ages. The Royal Navy pays the town a visit with HMS Montrose. The captain and crew are always made very welcome, and they respond by letting the townsfolk aboard for a glimpse of life on a fighting ship. For thousands of geese, Montrose is home for half of the year. They love it, and have been coming here for centuries. For them, it's the perfect place. While for us humans, Montrose is simply remarkable.